footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our SEC Game of the Week preview between the LSU Tigers and the Georgia Bulldogs. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with Georgia.
When you look at Georgia in this ballgame, they got a scare last week early from North Texas, but the offense caught fire and the defense was able to tighten up later on, and they were able to win in impressive fashion. Now this week versus LSU, I would keep Aaron Murray on the move. You want to move that pocket for him, give him different launch pad spots, maybe a little bit of dash protection, some sprint out protection, a little bit of waggle, some boots. That way you'll be able to move the football via the air. And also on defense, you want to win on first down. You want LSU to go exclusively to their pass game, so that way your pressure can then get to Zach Mettenberger back there in the pocket. Now for LSU in this ball game, the offense looks much better this year with Cam Cameron calling the shots. They're a lot more balanced as opposed to years past. Now this week versus Georgia, they have a veteran receiving core going up against a young Bulldog secondary. They're going to have to execute. You can't give that young secondary back there confidence, otherwise you're going to be in a dogfight. And on defense, they have to set the tone early on the road. You got to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to get to Aaron Murray, and you have to play excellent special teams. So defense definitely has to set the tone early this week in Athens. Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For LSU, you want to avoid those patented Tiger mental mistakes that plague you throughout a ball game. Drop passes, penalties, personal fouls, blown assignments. You can't have those mental errors on the road if you expect to beat a team like Georgia. And you want to make Aaron Murray hold on to the football. When he holds on to the football, bad things happen for that offense and good things happen for defense. In the linebackers versus the running game, you have to be deliberate in your run fits. You can't allow those guards to get to the second level. You have to stop the run. You're going against a two-headed monster in Ty Gurley and Keith Marshall. Now for Georgia in this ball game, I would go with quarters coverage versus LSU. You want to keep things condensed until they're able to prove they can attack deep down the field consistently with accuracy. I would keep everything in quarters coverage, so that way you can effectively rally up, make a play in a running game, as well as rally up versus the pass and get these receivers on the ground. And delayed interior pressure versus Zach Mettenberger is the way you get him off the field. You can send those guys, whether it be a backer or a safety, down that A-gap, and you can get him on the ground. And the last thing I would say, running off tackle is huge. I'm not sold on LSU's linebackers. I think Georgia has a decided advantage off tackle if they're going to run the football. I think that's where they're going to be able to get some big plays between Gurley and Marshall this week versus the Tigers. The X factor for LSU will be defensive coordinator John Chavis. Rarely do you see a team that has a very good passing game as well as a very good running game, and that's the Georgia Bulldogs. So he's going to have to get creative in his defensive calls to put the Tigers in position to be successful. The X factor for the Georgia Bulldogs will be their run defense. As well as LSU has looked throwing the football this season, everything they want to do stems from the running game. So you have to put these guys in second and long, third and long situations. So stopping Jeremy Hill in that ground attack is first and foremost mission number one for the Bulldogs. Now here are some 2014 draft prospects you want to look out for in this ball game. When Georgia and LSU get together, you're going to see a lot of NFL caliber talent out there, as well as some CFL caliber talent. When you look at guys on LSU squad offensively, Jeremy Hill, remember, 2 years removed from high school, so he's actually eligible this year if he decides to come out. Two excellent receivers in Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. Zach Mettenberger has definitely improved this year. When we look at the defense side of football, Craig Lawson and Anthony Johnson, two top-tier talents at that position. And for Georgia, Aaron Murray, all this guy does is win, and all he does is put Georgia in position to be successful. Love their tight end, Arthur Lynch. Up front, Canarius Gates, as well as LSU's Lael Collins. Two outstanding tackles in this game. Chris Burnett, very good guard. And on defense for the Bulldogs, you look at a Marlo Herrera, outstanding linebacker, only a junior, 6'2", 245, and a senior defensive lineman, Garrison Smith, does a great job in that 3-4 defense, 6'3", 297 pounds. Herb Tyler was an excellent quarterback for LSU, led that resurgence on that 1995 LSU squad that got back to the Independence Bowl. And this is a guy that threw for over 5,800 yards in his career, 40 touchdowns, and also chipped in with nearly 800 yards rushing and 23 touchdowns. Definitely one of the all-time greats in LSU history. Champ Bailey was an outstanding athlete for the University of Georgia. Here's a guy that played offense, defense, as well as special teams. First team All-SEC performer in 1997 as well as in 1998, where he also was a consensus All-American and took home the Bronco Nagurski Award. I like LSU in this ballgame in what will be a classic SEC slugfest While the Tigers lack the stars of years past, this is a very solid, cohesive defensive unit, and I think they'll do a great job slowing down what Aaron Murray wants to do passing the football and make them one-dimensional. So I like the Tigers to go on the road and knock off the Bulldogs.